If you work in a professional setting, you know the frustration of staring at dense text and realizing you must build a diagram. You end up spending hours in PowerPoint, dragging shapes, aligning text boxes, and trying to force connecting arrows to snap into place. Napkin.ai tackles this specific bottleneck. It takes your raw, structured text and immediately drafts it into a professional graphic. The founders, 𝕤𝕤𝕚 and 𝕤𝕠𝕚, are former Google engineers. They spent years working on massive computer vision projects like Google Books before applying that exact same technology to everyday business presentations. This background is why Napkin operates differently than tools like Midjourney. It is strictly a text-to-structure engine, converting logic into layouts, rather than a prompt-to-image generator producing flat art. This shifts the focus of your daily work. Instead of manually nudging pixels to make a slide look right, you spend your time directing the logic of the information. Step 1 requires a desktop browser and a strictly structured piece of text. A bulleted list, a sequence of events, or a clear comparison works best. You paste that text directly onto the digital canvas, highlight the lines you want to visualize, and click the AI Spark icon. This animated mockup illustrates how the system responds. It immediately reads your logic and generates a carousel of 5 to 10 distinct visual metaphors, like flowcharts, Venn diagrams, or cycles that match your content. If your process changes later, the software uses a framework called Elastic Design. Watch this mockup closely. If you have a 3-step cycle and type a 4th step, the surrounding boxes, spacing, and connecting arrows automatically adjust outward to fit the new information. For styling, you can upload your corporate logo. The system extracts your exact hex codes and applies those specific colors to the entire diagram. The final step is exporting. The tool downloads these diagrams natively as fully editable PPTX files. Because the final export is natively editable in PowerPoint, every shape and text box remains an individual object. You are generating flexible assets rather than rigid, unchangeable pictures. Now that we understand the mechanics, let's look at how different professions apply this to their daily workflows. Project managers take dense status updates, like a log of risks, assumptions, issues, and dependencies, and instantly turn them into skimmable visual matrices for faster executive review. Software developers paste their logic descriptions to map out API request cycles. This speeds up the creation of technical documentation and pull request summaries. Business leaders use it to convert 5-year vision statements into clean, linear timeline graphics for investor pitch decks. Across these different departments, the platform translates specialized, text-heavy knowledge into accessible visual formats that everyone can read quickly. Translating text into accurate structures requires a highly specific technical architecture. This flowchart maps out the process. First, a semantic layer uses natural language processing to understand your text's logic. It passes data to an agentic design layer that selects layouts and icons. Finally, a rendering engine outputs the result using scalable vectors. Processing this architecture across more than 60 languages requires global infrastructure, driven by a new satellite engineering hub in Berlin, Germany. The system does have strict boundaries. If you input poetic, vague, or highly abstract text, the engine struggles to find logic and defaults to generic mind map bubbles. There are also economic constraints to consider. The free tier provides 500 AI credits a week. That covers occasional charts, but heavy users converting bulk documents will hit limits quickly. The software is a precision instrument designed strictly for structured data, rather than a tool for unstructured creative brainstorming. You now have a fast, repeatable method for moving from a blank screen to a fully branded, workable visual draft in seconds. This specific application of AI removes the friction of formatting, leaving you more time to actually share your ideas. Look at your upcoming presentations for this week and see where a quick structural diagram could replace a heavy block of text. Let me know in the comments how this workflow applies to your specific industry, and tell me which software tool you want us to break down next. Keep experimenting with these systems, stay focused on the logic of your projects, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.